My name is CJ Gardner. I'm on the school committee. I don't mind snowstorms because I'm very lucky. My husband does all the snow removal. I just get to watch movies with the kids and knit. So it's great.
Nice.
But you know what? I do like 8 loads of laundry a week, so
Yeah, it's good.
it makes up for it.
Indoor work.
Indoor work.
Gotcha. Thank you, CJ.
I am Paula Lante. I'm the Finance Personnel Director, and I do not like this weather. I am a 80s, 90s, sunny type of girl.
Temperature
So I don't know why I live here, but I am here.
We're glad you live here. Thanks, Paul.
I'm Daniel. I'm a select person and the liaison to the school committee. I wish there was snow. Like, I live in
Yeah.
Maine. I want snow. I don't want this muddy,
Rain.
springy, warm weather. So I hope there's a big snowstorm.
I'm with you, Daniel.
I'm Lee Robertor, and I'm new to the process.
All right, Lee.
Retired in 2018 and trying to get involved with the community. So, as far as weather is concerned, we've always enjoyed the winters, but at my age, it's getting easier and easier to rationalize why snow is not a good thing.
Thank you, Lee. I'm with you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm Joseph Rumer. I think that the weather is changing. It concerns me that we're seeing these marginal storms of almost snow, but not quite. And I think with the warming of the oceans, it's coming, and if you look at the last 6 months, the whole sequence of it, it's scary. It's sort of like perhaps living in Acton isn't so bad. The elevations,
yeah.
when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you saw the storm damage just in this last storm, every storm has its own malicious character, and this is, it's scary. I think it's scary.
Thank you, Joe.
Leslie Berland. I also live in the wrong part of the country. Although I do have to say, at this point, with that 1 week that we had 11 inches of rain, I pumped out probably a good 300 gallons a gallon out of my basement. So I'm happy to see the snow as opposed to the
Yeah.
rain.
I'm Joyce Bakshi, retired. I love winter. I have more allergies than I can think of, so when everything is dead and brown, I love it.
Sounds good. I'm with Dan. We either need to have snow to do stuff. Haven't skied once this year, or we need palm trees like what Paula wants. And I've commiserated with her on this whole flooding of the basement and stuff. So yeah, that's why I threw the weather out, because we just got done crying together about how much rain we've gotten lately. So that's my opinion.
I like snow if I don't have to go anywhere. If I can just stay home if I don't have to go anywhere. I like snow. But the snow and the rain is getting kind of, it's getting old. Got to have one or the other.
Pick one, yeah.
Yeah, pick one, pick a number.
I just realized what you and I did? We didn't tell Lee who we are, because he's new.
Oh.
Who are you?
I'm Judy Shane, by the way.
She's chair of the
Chair of
school
the school
committee.
committee.
I'm John Ross. I'm the superintendent principal. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very good.
I'm Jeanette. I don't know, weather doesn't seem to bother me one way or another. I don't know, it is what it is. I feel very fortunate to live in the Northeast because look at what's happened all over the country. We're pretty fortunate. I know I've been without power before, but I learned that lesson. You get a generator. And so that, but I don't know, I just dress for the weather. I can't help it. What are you gonna do? Some things you can't change, right?
Right?
You can't change me.
That's for sure.
Mary Stanton, I'm on the school committee. I have grandchildren that are in 7th grade and 3rd grade. And I like when it's 32 to 40 is good temperature because we work outside. We make signs and put signs up, and you try doing little electrical work with wire nuts and your hands are frozen. So I'm always happy if it stays around there.
Amanda Cobb, school committee, and I can't believe I'll say it, but I don't think we need rain in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to snow.
Yeah.
No rain in the winter.
I'm with you.
That's
Thanks,
it. But
Amanda.
but I like that it's not. I like that it's comfortable out.
Yes.
So,
I like that it's not 17 or 11 degrees.
when it's not 17 or 11.
And
yes.
windy.
Yeah.
Yes, the wind. So.
So in your packets, on the first page, you'll see Acton School Department norms for our budget meetings. And at the beginning of every budget meeting, I'll just go over these with us to remind us how we are. And there are 6 strive statements. And the first strive statement is we will strive to work together as a community that values the education of the education that our children receive at AES. We'll strive to be fully, quote, present at the meetings by becoming familiar with the materials and by being attentive. We will strive to invite and welcome the contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will strive to be involved to our individual level of comfort. Each of us is responsible for airing any disagreements during the meeting rather than carrying those disagreements outside the meeting. We'll strive to operate in a collegial and friendly atmosphere, and we'll strive to be responsible for examining all points of view. Before I get into the actual budget and how this works, we're going to take it slow, and we only have a few articles tonight just to kind of warm up. Call this the bullpen. We're just kind of warming up to the budget. Leslie asked me if she could have a moment from Warrant and Finance before we get rolling.
Hi, everyone. Last year, when the selectmen met and had wanted to put an ordinance in for an investment policy, there's been over the years a lot of discussion about how much excess money that we've accumulated over the years. And everyone says, "Oh, we have all the we over budget expenses, under budget revenues," but no one never took the time to actually gather the figures, which is what I did. So I have this all for everyone, just for
I can pass them out
information.
to you. We're good enough to go around, just go around the table?
Yeah.
You got one for Joyce?
Yeah. So just to have some context of figures, and it's broken down between municipal and the school.
Okay.
And, I think as a goal, we should look at, maybe trying to bring our budget numbers together with the actuals and try to make them a little bit closer. But it's hard to do that if we don't know what the figures are. So that's what this is. I spent, like I said, a little bit of time going through the audits for the past 9 years for the municipal and the school. The auditor only did the past 5 years for the school. So I just took what was there. So anyway, so it's just something that I thought that we should keep in mind as we go through the process, that these are our numbers.
Very good. Very good. And I'm not sure if the Warrant and Finance knows that the unassigned school fund balance, there's a plan and the state allows, I can't quote the plan, but the state allows a certain percentage of the overall budget to be held in unassigned funds for a certain amount of time. And that plan, it goes from one number and then it recedes over the years. And when that sunsets, it's another number. So in essence, we need to follow the plan we put in place to draw down on those funds and keep them within the margins that the state says we're allowed. The reason I can't speak to it particularly is because I wasn't prepared for it, but we have the plan and Paula
It's a
has the numbers.
policy,
It's a
and
policy.
it's about
and
40
state law.
pages,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Well, like I
No, so
said,
good call.
this is just something that,
Yep.
everyone has said, oh, we do this, we do
Right.
this. Well, what are the actual numbers?
Right.
So,
Right. You bet.
there they are.
This is good to know.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
We've had a couple unusual years where the
Unexpected
state has,
revenue.
yeah. So it's kind of
Past
messed
3
with our
years.
budgeting a
Yeah.
little bit.
So you
When you
get
look
get
at-
$166,000 in June, right?
Right.
That needs to go in this year's, the fiscal year, you didn't expect. We're gonna put that in, we're gonna use that state money first, therefore, that 166 isn't used in the local funds, it shows up in unassigned fund balance.
Right.
So we have had a few of those, but with the spirit of what you're saying, I agree with 100%. I know what you're saying.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it started with, with the
Yeah.
municipal part, saying that we had this excess
Yeah.
money, and it's like, well, why do we have so much money,
Right.
and where's it coming from? So, I
mean,
have not done
COVID
an
made a
analysis
difference.
yet on,
Yeah, okay, $700.
because, on who, where it is in each budget.
Mhm.
So, but that analysis hasn't been done yet, so, but that's gonna be very time consuming to do that.
Yes.
This was a lot easier.
Okay, so, if you look at your first one, if you turn your pages, you'll see proposed budget report. Article 5 is a pretty linear one. There's only a few cost centers there. And the way we look at this document, if I can work left to right, and I'll remind folks every meeting we have of how this works. Left is there's a source code there. That's an accounting code that we have to follow by the state. So assume and assure those numbers are fine. The source code 3400, other professional services, for example. Then you go back a few years. We like to show you that, 2 years ago, FY 22-23, there's a number. FY 23-24, there's a number. But FY 23-24, that budget that's right there, that's the one we're making the comparison to. So we look at what was the number in the year we're living in now, because we're living in that 23-24 budget right now, and we're in January, so our year is not a school year. It runs July 1 to June 30th, so we're right about halfway through the year, right? So theoretically, we should be halfway through our budget, if all went well. And we can see what we budgeted, and then what is the proposed budget here for this following year that will start July 1. The difference in monetary, so the difference in dollars, and then the percentage increase or decrease, okay? As you'll see as we go, increases will be positive numbers, decreases will have brackets around them. Many times I'll say it's flat, it's zero, there was no change. So we just work left to right. I'll go through them very slowly and ask questions. Anybody can ask questions at any time. I encourage you to ask them when it comes up. But you might think, oh, geez, I should ask that question. So we can always go back. There's only 3 articles we're looking at tonight. I'll walk us left to right through each of them. Later in the process, and I don't think there's a lot here, you'll see MRS, Maine State, MSR, Maine State Retirement System. So it's Maine State, MSRS, and there'll be a percent. That's Maine State Retirement, for example. There'll be a number there. That number will show up a bunch of times because every teacher who works here and many others that aren't teachers are connected to the Maine State Retirement System. And what'll happen is I'll go over all of that maybe once with you, because it's the same number in every article for the next 2 months, and just know that's fixed. We don't control that. The other one will be the percentage increase we're assuming for our health insurance. There'll be an increase there. That'll be the increase we project for our health insurance for the staff that work at the organization, and that's fixed, and it's a projection, and that's in the budget for every person that's in the budget. That being said, with the health insurance, it's a projection. We won't get our numbers till probably
Early April.
I was gonna say March, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
early April. We can always make adjustments then. The one thing I do wanna throw out there, now that I just thought of it, and I don't want us to forget this, is I just thought of this too, Daniel, we need a date to know if the selectmen wanna have the town meeting on the school and the town budget on Saturday, the first Saturday of April, or the last Saturday of April. I don't know which one it was.
I thought we had agreed on the 6th.
So we're gonna go on the first, so, because now I can update our calendar, because I wasn't sure, I didn't have that. I'm glad that that's fixed, because there were 2 Saturdays that were school vacation, and that wouldn't, the parents won't be around. So the 6th it is?
Pretty sure.
Perfect. So we can make changes, well, we can make changes on the town floor now, it's not a ballot, so this is a fluid document right up until that meeting. Okay, great.
If I could ask Paula also to do a column on the end that says what the stipend is for, or,
Oh, an
some kind-
explanation.
Yeah, we had
A little comments column.
yeah, comments or
Did
something.
I? Did you see that when you pulled them from my book last year?
Oh, maybe it went off onto another page? Sometimes that happens.
If
That's
it wasn't
great.
last year's, it was definitely.
It's a narrative.
We have had
What
them at
they
some
were.
point.
It's just
I'm
a little
almost sure we had them
explanation.
last year.
And we also had a cheat sheet list of the
Acronyms.
acronyms.
Perfect.
go.
I got one somewhere, I don't know, so you're
Yeah.
not all talking in alphabet. I hate talking in
So
alphabet.
next meeting we'll have that.
See if we have them, yeah.
So we're prepared, Paula and I went over these.
I'll look at home too, I guess.
We're prepared to kind of give you the narrative. I'll make some comments on it, like this means this. And if you have questions, we can dig into it. And if we don't know the answer tonight, we'll write it down and give it back to you next week, because everything's fluid until it's voted on. Joe?
Do you use the same health insurance carrier that the town of Acton uses?
Who does the town use? Do you know?
I think the town went to MMA.
Maine School Management Association?
No.
Maine Municipal,
Municipal.
no, we
No.
wouldn't, because we're not part of
We're
that,
part of the Maine School Management.
right.
What's the
not-
rough percentage of your increase year to year?
Well, we have a healthy group, and that's interesting, because we're such a small group, below 60 employees. You can look at our group, and the highest I've seen it go up, Joe, since I've been here in 8 years, was 7%. The lowest was flat. I'm gonna tell you between 2 and 4% a year. Between 2 and 4 is a pretty, I think if you go 2, you're cutting it. If you go more than 4, you're probably going a little high, and you're gonna have to adjust it.
When you figure pay raises from year to year
Mhm.
in your contract.
Correct.
Do you ever keep in the back of your mind about the health insurance and how that spirals from one year to the next?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's
all
our
negotiated with
negotiations.
the
No, I know
school
it's
committee. Yep.
negotiated, but
No,
when
but
you go
it's
to
in
negotiate,
the
when you take-
negotiations,
True, good-
definitely.
You
Good
know,
question, it's always on the
take
table.
$1,000 and you get
Yep.
2% here and 3%
Oh,
there,
yeah.
you get, well,
Is
you
that
get
a-
$50.
Right.
But then you multiply, do you
Yep.
know,
My experience from negotiating contracts is lots of times it comes down to salaries and benefits. And that's where, things get kind of, language is there sometimes, and sometimes there's some things in the contract that the language needs to be changed, and, you work that out, but benefits are always on the table, and it's always negotiated.
And I don't know if Paula did it, but I know we've had it in the past. Every time a teacher signs their contract, she puts down exactly, here's your salary, here's your benefits, and there's a bottom line that says, a pretty good chunk of money. So they get to see that we're
What the
giving you
benefits are worth.
these- Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a shared cost, the health insurance?
It is, but it's a percentage of. It's a percentage of, so you gotta get to 100% of health insurance, and then it's a negotiated, how much does the organization pick up, and how much does the employee pick up?
Okay.
And that's what I said, those are always negotiable items. I've never, and I've been around 30 years, I've never been in a contract negotiations where salaries and benefits weren't generally the mix of most of the conversations. It's very standard practice. And yes, that's always something, so, of course, if you're on the teachers and you want to, you gotta look at that, because that's money out of their pocket to pay more for the insurance.
Right.
So you always look at what's the salary and what's the benefits, and is it a wash or is it a gain, and the school committee does the same thing.
Do you have benchmarks on how you're trying to set the percentage of benefits to the salary?
Usually the way, the negotiation process is, thoughts and thinking of administration and the school committee are written down, and thoughts and thinking of the teachers and the support staff association are written down, and they go in with those. I'm not sure everybody puts them right out on the table day one, but people have an idea of where they want to be, and then it's just a simple negotiations process, so you get to a place where everybody can agree.
do you have an in-house negotiator?
You know what? The last two contracts, we've done it ourselves. My first year I came in and it wasn't settled and it had nothing to do with me. Work had been done. I went to a negotiations meeting and it was solved that meeting. I don't think I opened my mouth. It was
No,
just a
you
matter of, there was a UNICERF director that represents the teacher's side, and there was an attorney with Drummond and Woodson that represented the school committee. After that process, it seemed to take a long time, we made the recommendation that we not have the UNICERF or not have the Drummond and Woodson, and that the school committee and the teachers directly negotiate with each other, and we just come up with some ground rules. And then if the ground rules don't work for us, we either change them or we can always fall back to that. But the last two contracts have been negotiated in-house without kind of like referees, and it's gone really well.
So in-house as far as the school committee?
Right, we have two negotiators,
Yeah.
Mary and Amanda. I'm at every meeting and Paula's at every meeting, but the teachers negotiate directly with the school
Mostly
committee.
for
Don't they
the
negotiate with
numbers.
us?
Is it the teachers come themselves, or do they
Yeah,
have?
they have representation, and it's a committee, they pick up
a
their
school
peers.
teacher representing?
Correct.
Two school teachers.
We haven't had any union representation, Joe.
No,
It's
but
just
two-
us
two
teachers, so teacher reps, that's it.
Right, so right, just like the school committee picks from their group and the teachers pick from their group. But in the last two contracts, or 6 years, we haven't had a union rep from the state or a lawyer from a financial firm or a law firm to represent either group. For whatever reason, they made that decision, and the last two contracts have gone very nicely. Yeah, and we all know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
The question I was asking is there parameters of how much benefits to salary you're trying to stay within? Some guidelines that benchmarks you're trying to establish?
Guidelines are basically what, we have to look around at the other schools because we have to pull teachers from this big
To be
area
competitive.
who
yeah.
work here. So yeah, to be competitive, I guess,
Yeah.
to say. So it's other schools are our benchmarks to see what they're doing.
But when you get all said and done, there's a percentage of benefits to salary that you end up with, and I'm sure you track that, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's in the budget. I mean, so this,
Are you saying like,
No.
are you saying
It's-
the
it's
insurance
fixed.
is 3% of their salary?
Well,
Are you saying it that way?
It's
Or-
insurance and it's pensions and all of it.
right, okay, I
I
think,
don't-
yeah.
I don't think we really do it that way, do
No,
we?
we don't.
No,
No.
what, like
We
with
don't.
this
I think-
budget, we are not in an open negotiation, so the salary increases and benefits
They're
that you're
all
gonna see.
baked in.
It's all baked in.
In
It's about
this
80%
year.
of our, it's about
In this
80% of our work we're gonna do is contractual. We're not gonna change it,
Right.
right? So those CBAs drive 80% of that, and it's true in almost every school. It's a people business. So the people drive that. Now, negotiations open next year, that will help inform the next 3 budgets. And as Mary said, we're always looking at what the local areas are doing and paying and to attract. It's hard to attract talent right now. A lot of people don't want to get into teaching. And to find really quality people, so you really want to offer a good product. And it's a great place to work, but people don't think of Acton. I'm going to graduate from college and go work for Acton.
It's
You know,
far for a lot
it's
of
hard.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
I
your
think
Theo
if
wants
I
to
was
work it.
understanding your question, it doesn't matter whether you're starting at $40,000 or if you've been here and you're earning $60,000. Your insurance, if you are a single subscriber,
Right, that's
is the
right.
same. And if you have 2, it's the same cost for the
Employee spouse.
Employee
Family and
spouse
kids,
and
yeah.
family. So the insurance is the same cost for,
Right.
it doesn't really
Oh, I
depend on your
understand that.
salary. Yeah.
I was just wondering, in general, if
And-
you have
and other
$100,000 in salaries, you have 20,000 in benefits, or is
Sure.
it 30,000? You know, what percent of
Will
the?
We'll find out this year when they let us know what
Yeah.
the percentage
You're
goes
trying to
up.
see if they use that to help determine, like, based off of what
guidelines.
the person's salary, what's like the range that you will adjust their
When
benefits
you look,
to.
when you look at the
I think is what-
benefits, you figure that's worth 25%. So am I gonna start somebody at 35,000, knowing that their benefits are gonna add another 25%? Or am I gonna start them at
Yeah.
45,000? Because that's the only way I can get anybody to beautiful downtown Acton.
I think the problem is you guys are thinking about when you're hiring and creating pay scales in the outside world versus inside a school.
This is unionized. Yeah.
Inside a school, it's different. It's your pay scale of your first year, you get paid this, second year,
Yeah.
you know, and,
That's
and
what Lee
the,
was looking
And
for.
and then the
bachelors and
insurance
masters and.
is set as, you know, you have your plans, but it's just based on the school pays this much and the employee pays this much for
But when
percentage.
you hire a new teacher,
Mm-hmm.
then is the total cost of that new hire that has to be taken into consideration.
I do, and now
Yes.
I can tell you exactly
For
how that
that, yes.
happens.
Yeah.
So if we post for an elementary, say we post for a 3rd or 4th grade teacher, which is probably what we're going to be doing in the spring.
Yeah.
You know, maybe both. I don't know who's coming. I don't know if I'm hiring somebody with 20 years' experience or if they're in diapers right out of college at 0. I don't know. So I need to put a placeholder in the budget for 2 things. One is going to be a bachelor's degree, because you have to have a bachelor's degree to have the position. And maybe a bachelor's 15 at like step 3. That gets me to the average person that might, because most teachers at 20 years aren't gonna leave their job and come here because they're tenured, they're making decent money, they've been there 20 years. They've kind of got their game down. Why do I want to lose my game and start over? So you're looking at usually a 1 to 3 to 5 year person that might make the move. Interestingly enough, we have a great art teacher. She had 12 years' experience coming in, and that was great for us, and it fit our budget, and she's working out perfectly. It's rare you get somebody with 12 years' experience who applies for a position. So I kind of arrange it with the 5-year bachelor's degree, bachelor's plus 15, and I also arrange it with full family insurance, because I don't know if they're coming with kids or what. That way, if they do come with kids and they want the family, and that runs about $24,000 on our costs, I gotta build that in. Now, if they take it, great. If they don't, that's a windfall we can use in other places if we need to. Maybe somebody has a child, needs to change their insurance, so it's always good to keep that flexible, but we find a place that we try to hire for, put it out there, interview, and if they hire, they almost never fit the exact number I've put there, but at least we've covered it. So that's how we manage the future costs of teachers we haven't met yet, under
That's helpful,
CPA.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we just take a look at the first one? And as we get good at this, they'll go pretty fast. So we're looking at the proposed budget for other instruction, which is really, I can just say other instruction, what's that mean? It's really co-curricular, extracurricular, sports, and I can tell you, clubs, I'm just gonna run some by you, just so you know what we're talking about. I think I'm just gonna list a few. Boys soccer, girls basketball, boys basketball, baseball, softball, cheering. These are all stipended positions. The
The
yearbook,
coaches.
those are coaches.
Yes.
So just say coaches. Then you have clubs and activities. Some clubs and activities, I won't read them all, there's many. Lego coach, student council, green club advisor. These are all stipended positions. Then we even go as far as putting some money in for people who get paid to stay for detention. You know, Joe decides he's not gonna act very well today, so we're gonna ask Joe to stay after school. Well, if Joe's staying after school, then that means we need a teacher to be with him, and we actually pay the teacher to do it. And it doesn't have to be the teacher who assigned the detention, which is very unique to Acton. It's kind of cool, too.
I don't think so.
Well, usually teacher who signs a detention has to stay with the kid. Here, you can assign a detention, and somebody else will get paid to stay with the kid. It's just me working in other districts. I hadn't seen that, but I actually like that model, because it gets people to hold kids accountable, because they're gonna stay and get paid for it. I think it works perfectly. And then also something like cash, which is after-school help. So I have a list of probably 20 things here, and the addition and where it goes. But I wanted you to understand that when you see this, it just says stipends paid, and it says, $40,000. So the answer to the question is, if you go left to right, we're looking at the proposed budget versus the last year's budget. There's a difference of $3,223, or a percentage increase of 8.64%. And the reason for that is, you might ask, why would the stipends go up this next year? This goes back to the conversation around CBA's collective bargaining. The base level of the contract determines the stipended amount. So it's a math calculation. So your stipends are going to go up every year because your CBA goes up every year, and they go up together and work with each other. So you're looking at a proposed budget of $40,000 and an increase of about 8% on that particular line item.
Can I ask a question that you'll probably hate?
Go ahead.
Why was the budgeted amount for 23-24 so much higher than what we actually spent?
This is just current. We're
This
not-
isn't.
Oh,
this
well, the
isn't-
year's not done
This
yet.
isn't,
Okay,
this isn't year to
There we go.
date.
Keep
No,
the
this
brain
isn't
going.
year to
So the
date.
budgeted amount for this year is $10,000 more than.
Right.
the
No,
actual.
no, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
No, I was looking
It's
at.
not year to date.
Actual's not done yet. yeah.
No,
It's
no,
just
it's
how
not.
much we've spent.
Yeah, so far.
I got that question out of the way for
You did.
everyone.
This is only
I think I asked
projection,
it
this is
last
not
year,
real-time
so.
money, right, thank you, good call. Because remember, we're living in this year, and we're only 6 months through it,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah.
good call. So the stipends that are paid, there's also a benefit to that stipend that's paid, because it's taxable, right? So it's extra income for somebody. So we have to pay our side of those taxes, let's just call it that way. And from, as you can see, from last year, it was $3,000, this year it's $3,400, an increase of $400. In that case, it's 13%. That's the other thing I want to caution you, when you look at percentages, go back and look at the number, because you can say, whoa, that's a 100% increase, but it was $100 changed to $200. That's a 100% increase, but it was only $100. So in this case, it was $400, but it was 13%. The other professional services is vague, but we have to use the cost centers that the state gives us. This is where the narrative would come in very handy. Like, what does that mean, Mr. Ross? That's basically like your referees. So I'm running the athletics right now for the winter season, and I'm paying the refs, and I'm meeting the refs, and I'm at the games, and I have them sign off on what they're getting paid. So when we have 2 officials per game, for instance, in basketball, and 1 official for, soccer, and 2 officials perhaps for baseball, that adds up. So that's what the other professional services are, and that's flat, no change from last year. We have repairs and maintenance services within the other instruction that is $1,000, it stays $1,000, and nothing has changed. Travel, some of these clubs and activities travel. Clearly, sports do. We have an away game right now. The girls are down in Saco playing, or they're probably done by now. and they're on their way home. So we have the travel cost of the bus to get them there. And we have Odyssey of the Mind this year, which is exciting, and they may travel. Last time we had Odyssey of the Mind, they went to the Nationals. That's a
Yeah.
whole different situation, but that supports them to go to Augusta or Biddeford or wherever the state final will be.
You went to the Midwest?
Yeah,
We went to the- yeah,
they went
last
to
time
the
we did that.
Nationals
They go to
more
Kansas.
than once.
Wasn't it
When I
Ki-
was in school,
Yeah.
they started going.
Yeah.
When they go to
Getting-
Kansas?
You know,
Yeah, they've
5
been-
years ago, they
they've
went to
been-
the Midwest. It was
Yeah, they've been
fantastic.
to the Nationals twice, I think.
Yeah.
When you get into stuff like that, we don't budget for a national competition because we don't know where we're going to place.
We do
So-
fundraising.
We do fundraising for those things. But we make sure that they can come and go to the state level stuff.
Yeah.
The student council this year, we have a new student council advisor. She's very interested in student leadership conferences and has developed a nice little program where she takes some or all student council members off to a conference at another school.
I saw
And
them at
Yeah.
the
Nice.
conference
Did you
for
see it?
The mine, because I presented
Yeah.
a workshop there, so I ran into them there.
Yeah, they went up to Augusta.
They went up to Augusta.
For 2 days.
So roughly, that's where those costs come in, and that's travel, and it's flat at $850. Instructional supplies to support the clubs and activities is flat again, no change at $5,200, $5,200. Dues and fees, because some of these clubs and activities you have to pay into, such as the Southern Maine Athletic Association has dues and fees, and that's part of what the athletic director deals with. Again, flat at $2,100. And then the field trip, co-curricular and extracurricular transportation. This one itself, the $7,000 is mostly your sports teams. If we have all of our sports teams running in a full schedule, both boys and girls, we'll hit that. We don't always have all of our sports running for boys and girls, depending on the interest level of the kids and the availability of coaches. So, like the COVID year, the wheels on the bus never turned because we didn't have sports. So,
So the other travel, the 850 is probably just if you take the smaller bands?
Right,
And
you
you have
take-
the stipend a person?
yeah, and you drive up, you take your kids and they take our
Like
van
the
versus a
Lego
bus.
Club or something,
yeah.
yeah.
Could you make a copy of what you have right there?
Do you want me to make a copy of this?
Well, maybe everybody, would. I mean, I'd like to have one.
Well, fine, you want me to
Yeah,
do that
maybe
at the end of the
everybody
meeting?
wants one. No, but not right
Yeah.
now, but next meeting, you know, where
Okay.
it doesn't have to be, you know.
Sure, and I didn't read them all, I think there's 20-ish
Plus,
there.
there's a list of the, like, mentors.
Mm-hmm.
and-
So the stipend committee is no longer meeting? We
Only
don't
if a
have to
new,
meet?
only if a new club or activity
Right,
comes.
but has
Yeah.
anybody brought forward a new club, or do we need to delete a club? You know, if the
Good-
band teacher, I mean, if the
Let's meet
music
this
teacher
year.
isn't gonna do band, then we
Yeah.
don't need, I don't know if band's listed, but,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what, Mary? Great point. Let's make a note that we should bring the stipend committee together, just because we don't have an athletic director. And I'm looking at an athletic and activities director, somebody who can say, where's my Legos robotics stuff? And it doesn't have to be Patty all the time. Because if you're gonna pay somebody, and the athletic director stipend's pretty good, if you're gonna take that on and you're not gonna run one sport, then you got plenty of time for the money to make sure that Lego robotics is stocked and these things and this and that. I think we should meet for that reason.
They
Okay,
have
just to
a green-
rework that,
they
because
have
we
a-
gotta do the job description anyway.
They have a green club sometime.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do stuff.
That's the only one that was not active this year, was Green Club. All the others were active.
But then they have a new sign language club.
That's been around,
And
it's
that's
just
been there,
resurrected.
yeah.
Okay.
We didn't have it for a few years.
Is it on the list?
Yes.
Yep, American Sign Language.
Yeah.
So that's why when we say, should we delete it, it's one of those, I think Michelle Raynard taught it the first few years, and I believe Ally Hobbs is doing
She's
it
doing
this
it
year.
now.
Yes.
So it depends on who you have for staff.
We-
Not everybody knows American Sign
Yeah, we
Language.
used to give it like 2 or 3 years. If it wasn't active,
Yeah.
it could get removed.
Yeah, so we'll make a note to bring that stipend committee together in the overall stipends. Okay, good move. So overall, folks, if you want to know what this budget Article 5 overall is going to be, look at your totals at the bottom. The complete article is up $3,623, or overall
6%.
6%. So that's how we read them. All right. By the way, these are your budget books. Are we collecting them and giving them back to them, or are they taking them home?
We took
You
them
took
home.
them home last
Taking them home.
time, and
Just
then
wanted to
I'll
make sure.
just give you the new one
And
for
then he
next
gives us
week.
the
We'll
new
give you,
sheets.
they're yours to write on and to
Yeah.
keep, okay?
No, I'm gonna
Because I was.
Yeah. Well, it's your book. I didn't know if you're anything like our students. Do you want us to hold on to them so you don't lose them, guys? Or do you want to, it's up to you.
I've returned a book every year, by the way.
Yes.
You can have the notebook. You can actually find it.
So, turn the page, we're into Article 7, which is Systems Administration. This is it's a fairly good part of our budget. It's the school system, even though we're one building, we're a school district. So we get into salaries paid to administrators. Let me go so we were at 63,576, we're at 65,461, a difference of about $1,900, I rounded up, or a 2.96% increase.
So this is the superintendent part.
This is the
Right.
superintendent part. Does this include you and Jackie too? No, it doesn't, no.
We're the next.
You're the next one,
Next
yeah.
one.
Salaries for regular employees, so this is, look at FY 2324, so it's 95,102,837, an increase of, call it 8,000, or an increase of 8%. Again, I'm rounding up and rounding down just to make it easy, so I don't have to
How
talk so
many
much.
FTEs in that one?
One FTE and one part-time. Good
And
question.
I've added hours to Jackie's schedule, so that's fine.
So this is, what did we title her, bookkeeper, what?
She's
Yeah.
assistant finance director.
She's an assistant finance director.
Yeah.
Gotta have a title.
She's doing a heck of a job, too. We
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get-
Oh, yeah.
We don't get a chance to
Yeah.
celebrate some of our people that are less seen. The teachers
Yeah.
are seen, and everybody knows
Yeah.
them, but, I mean, come on. I mean, everybody gets paid without a hiccup, right? Those things don't happen automatically. I just wanted to say thank you,
And
Jackie, and thank you,
came
Paula.
in,
Yeah.
following big shoes.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
did a markup job last
I
year.
wasn't quite so comfortable last year.
Well, you shouldn't have said that because you did a great job.
She did awesome. It was
You
baptism
did a
by
great
fire.
job.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Do-
and Jackie works with Paula, and she does a lot of stuff for
Yeah.
the policy committee.
Yeah.
So she actually drops off the hard copies to Jeanette's house, and she packages them up and puts, like, gives them to my daughter, who brings them home for me, because she's trying to, like, she's going the wrong way to my house to put them on my porch, and I was like, don't do that, just put them in my daughter's backpack. So she does a great job with that stuff, too.
Now, do we have a job description? Because we had one for bookkeeper. I just want, when
no,
someone
that's-
comes in and
yeah.
we're hiring,
I
we say, here's the
used
job description,
kind
do
of
you want to
the
do
book-
this?
The bookkeeper position, that's what I used as her job description, but I do have one.
Yeah. Okay.
that I changed.
Yeah, I'm very
Okay.
impressed with her, really.
She's really great.
Yeah.
She knows,
she's
the-
good.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I wanted to mention it, because those back shop operations in a school, you know who the people are that are
Please,
seeing.
we know who's working.
A lot of people that are doing things, you don't see them very often. Just
She
'cause they're.
she loves it here.
Oh, good, good.
So this next one, school committee secretary, this is not a secretary to the school committee. It is the person who takes all the minutes for every meeting, whether that be a workshop, a school committee meeting, or if we asked her to be here, and she was here tonight for the school committee meeting. And every school committee needs to have a secretary, that's kind of almost by law kind of thing. So the stipend for that is $1,500, and that has not changed from year to next. Employee benefits for, I'm going to assume for the
This stipend.
for the stipended position is, nominal $145, which is flat. The employee benefits for administrators, as you can see, it was $6,000 last year. We're looking at $13,000 of an increase of $7,000. That's me. So we're now reaching the point where we need to start budgeting to kiss me goodbye, because I'm going to retire. And in my contract, there's some things like, I can equate this to, there was a contract years ago where teachers had certain amounts of money they had for their days that they didn't work, and they get that money when they retire, and they can roll that into a 403B or into a 401K. I'm in a very similar position, because the longest I'm going to be here is going to be 3 years. So I asked Paula to go ahead and start building a liability there, so that the year that I retire, it's not a big number, it's just a nominal number. So we're starting to add to that now. I just wanted to explain that to you, because it's kind of new, and it's because your superintendent's kind of working on the other side of the career, and that happens in budgets. So that's where that increase came
So,
from.
so this is, you're not going to be accumulating paid time off, where your last year, you could be sitting under palm trees but collecting a paycheck.
No, that's Maine State Retirement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm hoping Maine State Retirement gives me 2 palm trees.
Oh.
We'll see how it goes. Everybody in Maine State Retirement looks at those last 3 years, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I might as well be transparent and honest, because there won't be anybody who's in Maine State Retirement who'll tell you that's not true, because that's the way the system's built up.
Right.
Generally, your last 3 years divided by the amount of years you have in the service, whether that be in the police department or the Maine State, Maine State workers or school teachers, they're collective. That's kind of how you figure out your retirement. And the years to be vested have changed over the years. And that's true of state police. They all have different vestment years, but Maine State Retirement's just kind of a basic math formula. Years of service, your top 3 years divided by the number of years. You double your amount of years, and that's your percentage.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works. That's how it works for everybody that's on payroll here, unless if you're getting Social Security. And we have a few people that get Social Security.
Really?
But most everybody, who does get Social Security? Hourly people?
Me,
You?
Okay.
Custodians?
custodian.
Kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's several people in the organization, but for the lion's share, it's a Maine State Retirement position. Yeah.
Just I clarify on that. That increase is you are recognizing income from paid days
Correct.
that you haven't received the income
Correct.
for.
So
And this is going into a retirement plan for you? or
It
is-
will, yes, when I retire.
Oh, when
So,
you retire?
Right, for instance, I've been here
Okay.
8 years, and I haven't called, I'm not trying to brag, but I work, that's just who I am. I grew up working.
I got it.
I haven't called out sick in 8 years. That's kind of how it works. So if you're that kind of an employee and you build up some time, of course, I can't take all of it, but contractually, I have a certain amount. So we're starting to build that liability now.
A big number at the end.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, exactly. And this is really no different than what we did with some teachers in the past, because my
Right.
contract is with the school committee. They have one employee, that's me. And then we have the staff, collective bargaining for the staff, support staff, and for the teachers. That's different, that's a collective, so I have a contract with them that mirrors some of their things, and it's different in some other ways. Yeah. And it's all public, so, people often want to look at that. Employee benefits for regular employees, I'm looking at my numbers, we're at FY '23-24 at roughly 9,000. Again, we got a jump there of 15,000 or $6,000 at 7544. Okay, so that's for the benefits for regular employees. And then we get in, now here's where we're getting into group health insurance. So the group health insurance for administrators, if you go across, is $14,000, call it $14,500, an increase of $300, so roughly we're targeting about 2%. Paula, am I gonna see that number generally moving forward?
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's the first time we've seen it. So when we do all of the teachers, and regular instruction is our biggest article, and it has almost everybody in it, and about half our budget is in that, I won't have to go over that with you. It'll be a 2.15% increase overall.
So the placeholder is 2.15? You think that's okay?
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, retirement contribution for administrators, $78 increase, or 2.96. Professional employee training and development services, that's a mouthful, huh? For $1,100 is flat. Other professional services, which is $10,000, $500 in the year next, it's flat, and an example of that would be like the audit, because we just talked about the audit, and you came up with a number, and that's an example of it. It's one example of that. Legal fees could be an example of that, too, if we get ourselves into a position where we need legal counsel, unanticipated things.
Right.
John, the school audit is incorporated with the municipal, is that correct?
It's a separate audit.
Separate audit.
We changed that
Yeah.
3 years ago?
We've always paid our own audit, I
Yeah.
believe.
It's
Oh,
a
I see what you're
separate
saying.
audit.
We've
Yeah,
always
We've always
paid it.
budgeted
Thank
we've
you.
always budgeted for our own audit. because they've always done them separately and billed us separately for the school audit.
So
and the
do you, so
municipal.
you get a separate audit?
Yeah.
Correct.
Than the municipal?
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Is it- Can we
correct.
get a copy of that?
We have it tonight. We
Just
gave,
got
in
it
the school
tonight.
committee meeting tonight, they voted to accept it.
Right, right.
When I started, the audit was the town and the school together.
Yeah.
It was really hard to pull things out as to what
Oh,
was
yeah.
the town and the school. So the decision was made, let's do two separate audits. In this case, it was with the same auditing company.
Yeah.
And our timeline to get it done is often isn't the same either.
No,
Depends on-
you're
right.
very early
Right.
compared to
No,
us.
the only reason I
We pay for
thought
ours,
it
you
was
pay
the
for yours.
same
Yeah.
was because like I said, in the last 5 years
Yeah.
in the audit, they had the school, numbers from the school in there. too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because remember, we're kind of a department of the town, so the overall picture
Right.
In the town report.
of the
that's
town
what it
report,
is.
you're gonna,
Town report.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be in the town report, but we're not considered a, quote, department of the town.
No.
We're a
Separate entity.
separate entity of the town, whatever that is.
oh, I'll read.
Another name for a department.
So if,
That's all.
if an Acton citizen wanted to know where are my tax dollars going, part of it's the school, part of it's the town. If you look at just the town, you'll be missing the school.
Yeah.
And if you look at just the school, you'd be missing the town.
Right.
Right.
They're two
So, but they're
separate
two separate, and
departments.
then the town report, and the town report is everybody who's
Everything
employed
is-
here,
is matched
what they're
together.
making, how long they've been here, and that goes out in the spring, I believe. I'm usually
The
writing that
town
letter.
report, it's almost
Goes
ready.
out in the
It's
fall.
almost ready, it's almost ready.
It's
to-
I wrote
almost
that.
ready to go out.
Okay, so I wrote the letter. You and I write the letters to that,
Yeah.
and what time of year do we
Last
usually do that?
September?
Fall.
Is it fall we do
should-
it?
It should be in the fall.
Yeah.
Last year, it came out the day before town meeting
Okay.
because
Oh.
of glitches beyond control.
Right.
And legally, the town is supposed to have
it.
the town report 3 days prior to town meeting.
Meeting.
3 days before.
3
I
days prior,
think
yeah.
you'd want it earlier than that, but that's a minimum.
That's a,
That's the
that's
minimum.
a minimum. But
Right.
we should probably have it within a month.
So in the budget, I'm the only superintendent, I'm the only principal, so it stands out that it's me.
Yeah.
But when we get into Article 2, there's 26 or 27 teachers. They're just grouped. But those 26 or 27 teachers in the town report are listed. It's
Right.
broken out.
Yeah.
Right.
So you really, in a budget meeting and on the town floor, you don't really know what teacher X is making, because it's all combined.
Right.
It's easy to figure out the solo people.
Right.
Not so much when you're in teaching and support staff, but the town report lays all that out, and those numbers match
Yeah.
these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But for what Leslie is doing, is it possible for us to get a
Oh, yeah.
copy
Yeah, definitely.
of your,
John, the employee benefits for regular employees, is that a health benefit, going from 4,600 to 15,000?
Give me go over to the source code, Joe. What source code is it?
2080.
2080.
2080.
All right, Paula, I'm gonna give you that one.
Is that because you added Jackie into the picture?
This would be you and Jackie, this wouldn't be me.
Right, and-
Right, I got it.
Jackie.
That's not
So
health
now there's the
insurance.
regular employees, is this young lady here?
Yeah.
not-
Right,
Me
because she's
and
considered
my-
systems.
Okay.
So Paula is the finance director, and my part as the superintendent are considered systems administration. And the way the state makes you break out your systems people that work for the entire, works for the entire umbrella of the organization versus, what's the other one called? School administration?
Yes.
We'll get to that later. It's not in here. That would be, your principal of the school. And in bigger
And the
districts, you
school
might have 5 of
secretary.
them. And the school secretary, and the school nurse, well, she fits in Article
So
6.
basically, this is 2 people?
Yeah.
She and I,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I explained to me, this is her, right,
Her and
right,
Jackie.
I'm
Her
above,
and
right.
Jackie. Her and Jackie.
Yep.
Right.
So this, her and
Me,
Jackie?
Jackie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd I leave off, guys? You been paying attention?
4,300.
Got it, I'm right there, 4,300. Repair and maintenance
No,
services?
I was 3,490.
349.
349. School committee stipends.
Yeah.
Yep, school committee stipends are $1,400, and they haven't changed, so they're flat.
They haven't
That's
changed for
why I
25
said
years
that.
that I know.
Yeah.
But I don't even want the check.
Yeah,
I can't
look
get
at the
rid of it.
numbers, they really haven't changed in the last 4 years, because it's 14 all the way across.
But each one of us gives the money back to the school in some manner or another.
Right.
Yeah.
It all comes back from us.
The repair and maintenance services at $500, no change. Insurance, it says, other than employee benefits, and what this is our liability, property, casualty. because that's a school systems issue. That's at 10,600. Hey, that didn't go up. That's great.
Well, yeah, let's,
So our property casualty,
Or you haven't heard.
huh?
Or you haven't heard.
Does
Yeah.
it go up on a
Well, the
regular
roof didn't blow
basis,
off.
or-
It
Well,
always
It
goes
can,
up.
if you claim.
7,000 last couple of
You,
years.
you did the
so-
new roof, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. our-
The whole
I
thing.
was very surprised
Yeah,
by
the
it.
capital
know.
repair's been done, Joe.
Did you
Yep.
go out and get a quote on that? I mean, is that
Main s-
number allotted?
It's Main State. Yeah.
The liability insurance is Main?
No, it's
state?
main school,
Main
School
school.
Management.
Main school management.
So they tell you what it's gonna be for the coming year, or?
pretty
Yeah, I
much.
just got the application actually to fill out.
Okay.
Pretty detailed application to fill out, and then they come back and tell us what it would be.
It's pretty good that it didn't go up at all.
It is good that
Yeah.
it didn't go up at all.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
But we've been very lucky, I mean, and she told me that, she goes, you guys do a great job, and we really haven't had any claims in forever. So,
Yeah, no, we're a good customer for them. Yeah,
Stays that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy does a good job.
Andy certainly does.
Yeah.
The next one is postage. Of course, we
Yeah.
use the US mail at $2,500 a year, and it hasn't changed. Still $2,500, it's flat. Excuse me, the cell phones, for the people who use cell phones, it was, okay, so that's up a lot, and I can
Yeah.
explain that. Here's why. I had a cell phone reimbursement as part of my contract when I got hired, and I'm like, that makes sense, because literally, if something happens on a Sunday, Andy's not gonna wait till Monday till he sees me to tell me the school burnt down. So literally, and that's part of when I got back to, these positions require you to work, and you work a lot, and then sometimes you don't work, but you need to be available all the time. So I have a phone stipend that comes to me. I worked with Paula, and the administrative team is always texting and doing things and using their phones, and they weren't getting a cell phone reimbursement at all. So I added that into this budget for them, because Andy's using his as much as I'm using mine. 4:30 in the morning, we're going back and forth as to whether we're gonna close school or not. I get a reimbursement and he doesn't, it just didn't seem fair, so I spread that out amongst everybody who I work
What
with.
does the cell phone reimbursement like go towards, like, back, I get it for like minutes and stuff with like the unload and stuff, like what does that cover?
I think it's just,
Usage of the
we just
phone,
get an
or-
amount and the plan is on us.
Okay.
Because there's two ways you can do it. You can have the school buy you a phone, and then you gotta carry that phone in your own personal cell. Really, the way the world operates, it's better just to get a phone reimbursement or a flat amount, whether that covers your costs or not.
Okay.
I'm on a family plan, so it's a dent. It probably covers me, but it doesn't cover the other three people.
How many cell phones?
Would we move to? You, Sharon, me? Well, I've always been there, so
Patty,
you,
Sharon,
Patty,
and
Sharon, and Andy. Okay, three?
Yeah.
3 additional, but I've always been there, so 4 in total.
Yeah.
So for that, so it seems like a significant increase.
The,
Coming from 450 to
and-
600.
900 bucks.
and you and Andy decide if the school's gonna be open or not?
I do, but I have to, I
Yeah.
live an hour away,
Yeah, I
and the
know.
weather can be quite different.
Right.
So I can't get up and see how things are doing in Acton. I have to talk to him and say, how are things doing in Acton? And we've
Right,
been doing
right.
this for 8 years, and he lets me know, and he checks with the road commissioners.
Yeah.
And I check with other
That's how they do it,
superintendents.
the road commissioners.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm used to
But how come
the,
for
the
1%
poor person in charge of the buses.
That's why we try to
makes
do it
the
early.
final decision.
Yeah.
She makes the decision.
Yeah, I make the decision
Okay,
there.
that's
And we need to do it early, because that high school bus, the person driving the high school bus, remember, that's an early bus. That's
Yeah.
5 o'clock AM for them.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
want to know what we're
Yeah.
doing by
That's-
5,
that's
so
why
they don't have to
yeah.
come in and get a bus and go get a high
The
school
the bus
bus.
director
Yeah,
will,
yeah.
like, if there's no school, my daughter gets a phone call at 4:30 in the morning.
That's
Because she's a
early.
teacher.
Yeah.
Because they're, same issue.
Yeah.
Buses will be going out before 7 to pick up
Mhm.
kids at a 7 o'clock pickup.
That's an
So-
example of how we
Yeah.
use our phones, and it's an example of
Yeah.
when inclement weather's coming in. Sometimes there's a slam dunk, they're gonna say it's gonna be a blizzard, and everybody can close the night before. I love that, because parents know.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna get 20 inches of snow, it's a 100% chance of 20 inches of snow, we know we're not gonna be
What you
open.
love are weekend storms. Saturday into Sunday, you're like, that's great.
Get it out of the way, welcome back Monday. That's exactly what happened last Sunday. Advertising is up $200.
No.
No,
No.
I'm looking at advertising.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
budgeted
1,000,
2,300 for
200%.
500. Excuse me, 1,500, the difference is 1,000. and the percentage increase is 200.
So what's the reason?
Well, yeah.
Oh, I know. Do you
Where
want
are
to bring
you
that one up?
advertising?
Yeah, we've been using a different
Last year,
service.
we advertised on Indeed and had great results from it, so that costs money, and we didn't budget for it last year, so I'm just anticipating
Yeah.
at using Indeed again, because it was really a great source.
We're anticipating maybe hiring some staff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the difference in quality of people we have, and it's interesting, and I don't know why, but we always use Serving Schools and School Spring. And I mentioned to Paula, let's try Indeed. And I think all of the applicants we got that we actually
I didn't get
hired
many
went
from
through
Serving
Indeed.
Schools.
Yeah, but all teachers know to use School
I know,
Spring.
but I think Indeed is where.
I think they've been
everyone
marketing
goes
themselves
now,
or something,
yeah.
but, and if you, yeah, it's a huge percentage increase, right? 200%? But it's, what is it? $1,000.
Still only
Right.
$1,000,
Right,
yeah.
so it's not, it's 200% of that base number, which is 500.
So it's up $500.
Oh, it's actually up 1,000. It's up 1,000.
Yeah, it's up 1,000.
And it's because because we're using a new methodology.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, if everybody
Yeah.
that we
just
hired got
about
hired
everything.
from Indeed, it
Yeah.
seems like a good.
I'll just make one more
place to-
comment about that. You know, it's crazy that the hiring we did this last year, it's like things are turning a corner because we had several applicants for every position. You sat on one of those. And of the several we had a strong 1 and 2. We've had years where we didn't really have any applicants, and we kind of had to go with what we had, and that's tough. But last year in particular, I was very impressed with, 1, the number of people that applied, and 2, the quality of the people that applied, and the ones that we got are doing a heck of a job. So maybe things are shifting a little bit. And the contract was, of course, a little bit better, so that probably attracted some people. I don't think you can put your finger on one thing, but I'm just noticing after years of doing this that the market's shifting a little bit, that the quality of the people that we're getting and the number of the people we're getting has improved. General supplies, correct? Travel.
Travel.
Travel, $3,100. It was $3,100 last year, so we have a 0% increase. It's flat. General supplies, $2,500 last year, $3,000 this year, up $500 or 20%. Dues and fees are up $100. They were $2,500. They're $2,600, 4%. Bank fees, negative. It goes away. There's your brackets that I mentioned. There's one that will disappear. And on bank fees, we always put it in there, but why are we not doing it? They don't charge us, right?
No.
Yeah. So that cost center, under systems administration overall, if you look at your bottom lines, $28,000 or 12%. Or you could round it up and say $29,000 or 13%, whatever works for you.
I have a question regarding the advertising. Part of the advertising is you're changing the methodology, and the other part is you were expecting to hire more people for the coming year, is that correct, or?
We will be.
We will, so when we get into, we're gonna have a conversation about class sizes and personnel. We're not gonna do that tonight. We're gonna have that conversation when we get into regular instruction. That's the number of teachers we need to serve the kids. And there's some critical thinking that the school committee needs to take, and I'm gonna propose some certain things that that I think should be supported for reasonable and smaller class sizes. To do that, we need to attract, more people if we actually add staff. And my comment about Indeed was, my experience just last year. I'll take art, for instance.
Yeah.
We hired somebody who has a dozen years' experience, but we also had another candidate in that I remember that person pretty well. We could have hired, like a very, very strong candidate, and even the third candidate in there, I was probably reasonable. If there was nobody else who showed up, very reasonable person to hire. True of my 6th grade team. I had somebody who kind of was looking at an elementary position and threw the hat in the ring for 6th grade team, a young person. There's somebody right out of college, because you need to balance. You can't hire everybody out of college.
Yep.
Everybody can't be new. So we kind of have a newbie and somebody with some experience. They cost different, but this person was very qualified for coming right out of college. And the years prior to this, we didn't have as much hiring, but we also didn't have many quality candidates. I remember we really struggled in one of the specials. Very much struggled.
Yeah.
And this year, we had 2 you were on that committee with me. There was a number 1 and a number 2 that could have easily have been hired in the school, which I think is awesome, because then again, Acton is awesome, but it's like the hidden gem. You know, if I know what I knew now coming out of college, I'd do anything I could to get a job here. You know, I really would. Pre-K through 8 school is very, very attractive.
Do you do any demographic analysis of employees, trying to project when you're gonna have some employee turnover?
Employee turnover usually has to do with tenure. I know that you're gonna see some turnover before or about the same time I check out, because I'm in a cohort of people that are about the same age.
Right.
If they choose to take their full retirement benefit at their benefit age, some people don't. So for me, it's 61 and a half. Okay, 62, but anybody in Maine State Retirement can do the 61 and a half. I could go till 70, I guess, if I wanted to, and add to that retirement, but if they choose to take their benefit, you can take a look at that, and you can kind of look at, this person will probably be retiring out, so I'll have to replace him or her.
Yeah.
Just by time and tenure. But I think we have a person who's retiring this year who was eligible to retire 2 or maybe even up to 3 years ago. And she's still here, and she's doing a great job.
They're not obligated to let you know, or?
Yes, they are.
How much lead time do you give?
I need to know by the first business day in January if you're retiring.
Okay,
I have a retirement, and I knew that before the first day in January. So I do know that. But there's a contractual piece that's there, because we have to budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's just for the,
And sometimes you
Upcoming school year.
sometimes you
Correct.
have young teachers and maybe their boyfriend lives way up someplace or out of state, and so you lose the younger teacher for those reasons, so, but
Have you ever had
The
issues
turnovers.
with mid-year dismissals or turnovers?
Not here. I have. I've been around for a while. I've had to dismiss people mid-career before. So that happens. I mean, there's that other side of you're an employer, right? So, yeah, sometimes things happen.
very rare here.
Very rare, but that's part of why you take the job. You have to do both sides of it, yeah. Usually, if somebody's gonna leave and things are going well, it's a situation like Judy said. If you've been around for a couple of years and you're doing great and you leave, it's because you had a life situation that changed. It has nothing to do with how well you did at your job.
I know some school districts have seen an increase in mid-year termination by the teacher leaving.
It's too much for them.
When they leave.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me a bit. It's a hard
But on the
job.
contract, I'm sitting there saying, how do they walk away from their contract? Aren't they obligated to stay?
No.
They're obligated to stay if they get another job. I can hold them to a contract. There's a release clause, and that happens at the beginning of the school year every now and then. I haven't had it happen here, but somebody will get a job somewhere else and they're already under contract here, and it might be, hey, you need to do 60 days with us, and then you can have Dan, but I gotta start school. There's no real benefit to that, because the kids get used to Dan, and 60 days later he leaves. So there's not a lot of mustard there to work with you, but I could do it. It hasn't happened here, but like I said, I've been in other places where that's more common. Usually a middle of the school year usually is a breakdown. I can't do this anymore, I'm getting out. And if somebody's in that place, you're not gonna try to,
You don't want to.
you don't want, they're really in a tough spot. I get that. And it happens. Like I said, in any job, this is a tough job. And it does happen.
I don't think you see it as much in elementary schools as the higher grades.
At the high school.
Yeah.
All right, so these are really, bringing a lot of great questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it gets us thinking. The last one is transportation. It's the shortest of them. We kept it for last. They're pretty straightforward. So we start with repair and maintenance services. Last year it was 3,000. This year it's 3,000, and that's for our vans. That's for our vans, because remember, that's not a contract with the bus company. Lee, just so you know, we don't own the buses. This is good for everybody to understand. We have 3 vans that we had federal money that came in, and we bought 3 vans to move special ed kids, homeless kids. Sometimes I got a small athletic team and the coach can drive our van.
Yep.
It requires a clean Class C license. That's probably the license that most people have. A bus driver is a Class B with the bus endorsement, a little harder to find. The bus drivers and the buses are managed through the Southern Maine Administrative Collaborative, who we contract with. We have a 3-year contract with them. The contract is in its 2nd year. So we know that's a fixed cost, and it's based on a per mile cost to move our students. It's all laid out, and the contract's public, and you can take a look at it. But I want you to know, we don't own the buses, and there's something nice about that too, because they're our contractor, so if something goes south with a bus, they owe us a bus. So they bring a spare up.
Yep.
that's line 2.
That's line 2. And line 2 is, our FY 23-24 was $463,474, so that's basically transporting the kids all school year. You can see that it went up to $491,954, or roughly a $28,000 increase, or 6%.
What does that change or that shift?
That shift would be the cost per mile. And we can look at next year in the cost per mile, because it's a 3-year contract. Yeah, similar to our CBAs, it's fixed.
How do they figure the cost per mile?
They look at they look at the, they look at the, diesel, they look at the number of miles spent on, our routes, how many buses are on the
How
road.
much they pay the bus
How much
driver.
they're paying the bus drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Tell you, there was I was driving a bus more than I ever wanted to last year.
Yeah.
I felt like I drove at least once a week. I didn't. I drove probably once every other week because we didn't have people. This year, I've only driven a couple times. That's because people are sick. If somebody's sick, somebody's sick. But we actually were missing people last year.
Oh, my.
So the bus driver thing seems to be coming around a little bit too. We actually just got a new spare. The company got a new spare.
Spare driver?
Spare driver.
Oh,
Got a new
good.
spare driver, no spare tire. I call them we did because our bus drivers are like family to us. They're here, the kids
Yeah.
know them, we know them. They're just like employees, but they get paid by the bus company.
And a lot of them, or all of them, live in Acton. Like,
A lot, yeah.
you see them at the grocery store. Like, their kids go to school here too. So,
That's nice.
yeah.
And the vans are kept on site?
They're on site, they're right on the lot, we own those, and they're roughly, I'm gonna guess, because I drove one the other day, they're right around 15,000 miles-ish. So what the school committee, and what you're gonna do is, now that you have 3 vans, you have what's considered a fleet. And I'm gonna say this in about another 2 years, maybe 3, build in replacing a van a year over the next 3 years, like 3 years from now. When you get around 60,000 miles, 70,000, you might wanna think of trading that in and getting something else, or maybe you only need 2 vans. Those vans came to us by way of federal money, it didn't cost the town
Well,
anything.
that's what I wrote that down.
But now we gotta
What is-
maintain them, we own that.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's how you can embed certain expenses into it, because, hey, I got them already, so let's keep them
Sure.
going,
Keep
versus we
going.
only need 1 or 2.
And I can give you a really good example of vans. Now, this is interesting, there's a thing called McKinney-Vento, which is a federal law around homeless kids. We have a duty to transport a child who's not living in the school district in which they're supposed to live in, and we share the cost with that school district, up to roughly an hour in the state of Maine. An hour in the state of Maine is Portland. So we could have, right now I have a Westbrook student who is currently living in Acton only for a couple of weeks while some property and some things happen in Westbrook for the parent. We're transporting that student to Westbrook for a short period of time in our van. If I didn't have a van, I'd be doing it in a bus for 1 kid. And I'd need to pay the bus driver rate for 1 kid. So that van's taking that child to Westbrook and back, and then when we're done, when that child has a residency back in Westbrook, and the good thing is I worked for Westbrook for 20 years, so I know exactly who's there and what's going on, we'll send them a bill for half the cost. And they'll give us a revenue for half, because they have to split that cost with us. It's their kid, we're transporting, we'll pay half, they'll pay half.
We don't have any special ed kids
We
that
do.
are in special ed programs
We do.
outside of this.
And we use the vans for that too. We'll get to that last.
That's later.
That's last, because that's a pretty big ticket
That's a
item,
big
Lee.
ticket here.
You sound like you're familiar with that. So, and that, we'll get into that then, but just do understand that we're a small school and we can't meet the needs of every kid.
Right.
And when we can't meet the needs of every
You got-
child
you got-
here, we have a duty, yeah. And we do, we have a handful of kids that we use those vans for
Okay.
that reason. Yeah.
We take care of a
we have
lot of them
some-
here.
We have some
We do take care
kids
of them
with
here.
pretty special needs that are here in the
Yep.
house too, that
Yeah.
manage and get along very well here in-house too.
Well, yeah, and part of the challenge is making sure that it doesn't create a disruptive environment for the other kids.
Yeah,
No, the
it's
kids, they all blend in. but-
Quite the opposite, actually.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Sharon's done a nice job. We're so small, I can't identify anybody, right?
Right, no.
I'll just say this, there's been a few kids that have been in some special programs. They come to Acton, we work with the child, and they're rock stars here.
Yeah.
Depends on the child. Now, behavior room type setups, if you're familiar with that, in a bigger district, such as Westbrook, where I'm delivering this child, you'll have 4 elementary schools. One of them, just one of those schools will have a full wing of the building for behavioral needs. And everybody in the district goes to that school. Doesn't matter which ward you live in, you go to that school because they have the staff for it. Because they have 20 kids. We might have 2. So we don't have a wing and a staff for 2 kids. We have to outsource that. Yeah. But we have brought more kids in that were in out-of-district placement than we put in out-of-district
That's
placement.
fabulous.
And-
This is
and-
the best place to have them if you can.
Pretty much.
Without
Yeah.
ruining it. Yeah.
You'll see they have a fabulous woman who handles their special needs.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
We have
phenomenal for
some,
what
we have
she
some
does.
very joyful special needs kids this year that just put a smile on my face and crack me up, so it's a good place for them, and we benefit from them being with us.
Excellent.
Okay, so there you go. You know, you're on to the next one, right? So we did repair maintenance services, and then 5140 is the student transportation purchase from private sources. Sorry, that's the contract I just talked
That's the
about. Yep,
contract.
let's go to the next one. Insurance other than benefits is $3,000. When it says insurance other than benefits,
That's van insurance?
Yeah.
that's the van insurance?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And then the fuel for the vans, that's a decrease of 5,000. It was 15, we're gonna put in for 10, or it's a reduction of about 33%. Paula did a quick analysis of how many miles we're actually using our vans and what fuel's
Right,
costing.
we didn't know what to do, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, at this point, we had put in
Guess
too
so.
much last year, so we're saying, yeah, we probably don't need that much in the budget, because we're not gonna spend that on our vans.
Do we or could we get, I forget what it's even called, the membership at Boonies?
Don't we have
Fabian?
the fair?
Oh,
Fabian?
I don't know.
Fabian.
Yeah,
Fabian.
like you get
It's
a
a
membership
Wex
and
card.
it's,
It's a
yeah.
Wex card, that's,
And
yeah.
then it debits it out of the account, but it gives you 10 cents a gallon
We do have
discount.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do that because I remember trying to fill the van. I drove to Westbrook the first day we had this child and drove back and it was on half. And I said, radioed in, they all have radios. I said, do you want me to fill the van while I come in? And Amanda said, you don't have the Wex card. Bring it back and we'll have Bob do it up at Boonies.
Yeah.
The same with buses.
Yeah.
But they also go to the Acton Trading Post, too.
Is that a Wex facility?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes,
Oh, you
they
could
do.
put-
I've seen the
I've
van
had
there.
Wex.
And we still get the discount.
And they still, get oh, yeah, still get the discount. Yeah, they have, yeah. But if they need diesel, they have to go to Boonies. Because Acton Trading Post
Because I
doesn't
go to
have
Boonies.
diesel. Huh?
I say I go to Boonies for my car.
I do too.
You have a Wex card?
No, I have a Fabian
That's a fleet.
card.
I have a
Wex- oh,
Fabian, I have a
Fabian.
Fabian card.
You know, those people are from Maine. Somebody told me they were out of Canada. It's
Oh,
some
the people-
family that,
The people who now run the Acton Trading Post,
not them, talking about the Fabian, the company
Company?
Fabian. Yeah, I
they
think,
could be.
We're close.
I found it somewhere.
Regular field trips.
Right.
Not co-curricular.
Right.
Not extracurricular.
No.
It says extra and co.
It does.
That's why I just looked at it and I said, look, we just did that one.
No, yeah, that's just,
What's this, what's
I
this
just caught
regular
something, I
field
just whispered
trips?
to her, cut the co-curricular
co.
next. This is field
Just
trips.
regular.
This is just field trips?
Just field trips, so if you're in pre-K and you go to the art museum or kids museum,
So
if you're the high
cross out
school.
co-curricular and
Thank you,
extracurricular.
we'll fix that for you. I just looked at Paula and go, wait a minute, we just went over that one, we missed that.
Window.
This is regular field trips. We try to build it in so every class can take a field trip. And that's pretty much almost always a bus, because a class is a class. And then sometimes we may have to do special arrangements for kids that have, might be wheelchair bound, so we have to bring the handicap bus. But everybody has an opportunity to go on a field trip, and or two, it depends. And there's certain things we do with the older kids that we just have done historically that we want to support financially. Different
What
trips.
is that white short bus out there?
That's a good question. That is one of our contracted agents' bus. So we have a fleet of regular school buses, the yellow buses. Some of them are handicapped accessible, some of them aren't. And then we have this unique Chevy front end, Class C, so any of us could drive it, van with a bus back end to it that holds 20 kids. Right now, that bus is on the road with my van driver with the girls' team. It's cheaper than running a full bus, and it's more than a van.
Is it gas or diesel?
It's gasoline. Yeah, it's a Chevy 350. Yeah, it goes good, but anybody can drive it, but we make everybody do a test drive first, because it handles like an RV. It's just like an RV, it's the same frame, same body, but there's seats instead of an RV, that's what it is. Yep, 20 kids and a driver.
So that's under the private?
That's one of the vehicles. So we have 5 buses, a spare, and that white bus. That white bus tonight was utilized because why take a big one if you can fit them all on a small one? Yeah, it's nice to have that. We don't always have that, sometimes the transportation director in the company we rent, that we work with, he'll be like, can I have that back? I need it. And lots of times I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get to that, and I never get it to him, and we own it. But and he's somebody I know real well. If he really wants it, he'll send somebody up to get it.
There's 3 vans,
We own the 3 vans.
and this one you're talking about, you own that?
We don't own it, no. That belongs to the SMAC.
I got it.
Right.
But you can drive it.
You can drive it. Anybody can drive it. A teacher can drive it if they have a
But you're
clean
not
record.
contracting to have that one on the road.
Depends. Like tonight, the guy who's driving that bus is being paid by the bus company, because it's technically like a bus, right? But if I wanted to, I could have had my coach drive it,
You could have.
right? There's a lot of thresholds you have to meet to drive it, and, so in this case, I got a van
And do they set
driver.
the thresholds?
Yeah, sort of. The insurance company does, to be honest with you. Yeah, it has to do with your driving record and those kinds of things, yep.
That's interesting. I didn't know they had that.
And actually, just so you know, we have a safety plan on if we ever had to evacuate the building.
Yeah.
And that's built into it. Like, anybody can drive that bus, and there's some critical kids that we need to know are out of the building.
Yep.
Any teacher, so we train the teacher, they drive that bus, they're named in the safety plan to grab that bus and go to the rally point if we had to evacuate the building. So it's good to have.
Can I ask you where you're from?
Where am
Where are you from?
I live in Acton.
That's what I would say. Good answer.
I want to know what, you said you were retired, right?
Yes.
What was your job?
I did commercial lending.
Okay.
Okay.
Some of your questions, I was like, okay, there's something like financial data
Yeah.
driven in there from your questioning.
Originally from? Are you
I spent a
originally?
lot of time in Keene, New Hampshire,
Oh,
40 years,
oh.
Just a little bit.
just a little bit.
I got a grandson that's doing financial, commercial lending now
Yeah.
for SAS.
You retired now, Lee?
Yes,
Fully?
fully.
We'll keep you busy on this committee. We can consider this your part-time job.
And you could drive a bus.
And
I don't think you want me to.
Little did you know.
But the other exciting part is that my son-in-law is the president of this teachers union at the school that he teaches at. And my daughter has her master's degree in special ed and runs the alt program.
Nice.
What district's the alt program? What your
This
daughter?
is Hillsborough,
Oh,
Dearest,
okay.
New
Yeah.
Hampshire.
I have a background in that. That's
Do you?
passionate stuff.
I was
Passionate.
shocked that she went into this
It's
field. And
high-risk kids, yeah.
I have dealt with people in my career that changed,
Yeah.
they had
They'll
professional
move.
lives, and they retired from that, I'm gonna go back, they got their master's degree, they went into special ed, they lasted a couple of years, and they got burned out. And I told my daughter, I said, you're nuts, this is hard work,
Yeah.
but she loves it.
Good for her.
Okay, any final questions before the chair takes us into adjournment? Okay, I didn't put the calendar of the next time we meet in front of me. I apologize for that.
Sorry.
Did it go out?
The 25th.
Yeah, you sent it to
I
me.
sent it to you, but so you
I
have
copied
it.
it, and
Perfect.
at our meeting on Monday, I gave it to everybody.
And also warrant and finance, I want to say this, I know that not everybody can make every meeting, but we also, it's not in our agreements, but let's try not to go back and fill in all of these articles for somebody who wasn't here, meaning, if they have a question, they can see Paula or me or Judy perhaps about the other articles, and then like, we'll get 3 or 4 articles next time we meet, and we might have somebody with us that isn't here tonight. We'll focus only on those.
I got it.
Because it would be very cumbersome to have to go back and reiterate, we'd be doing these meetings all the time, so, that's how we've operated before.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any question on warrant and finance about what they missed, that, you could fill them in.
Well, tell them to watch
I got it here.
watch the video.
Watch
first,
the
right?
video,
Yeah.
there's your answer, watch the video, okay. All right, thank you, Virginia, over there with the
Go
video.
back over there.
There was a comment
Oh, wait,
about,
you said.
Not yet.
oh, no, there was a comment about having a narrative for each of the line items.
That's gonna happen next time.
That will happen next time.
So we'll get 3 new pages.
More pages.
Could
No,
ask
We'll
you
replace them.
throw those out.
No, we're not gonna throw.
These
Those
ones.
are all our notes.
Don't throw them
All
out.
kinds of notes.
Put the new ones on top.
The new, yeah.
Yes, okay, we can do that.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I move to adjourn at 7:15.
Second.
Hold on, you're going fast, CJ and Mary, at what time?
At 7:15.
All in favor?
At a 5-0, I didn't even look up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I'll take care of all this business. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good meeting.